If you enjoy learning the Cherokee language with RSU TV, join our Signal Society. Your monthly gift of $10 a month ensures that RSU TV can continue to produce programs like the Cherokee language classes. Click the link in the description or call 1-800-823-7210 to join today.
God, welcome back to Cherokee 2 here at RSU TV, where Galielig Jiged Okohig, I'm glad to be here. So hopefully you're enjoying the lessons. And it's my hope that you're starting to get a little bit kind of blasé about the story. We've been working with this story about the fox and the crawdad for quite a while now. But the more we get exposed to that language, the easier it is for us to understand it. So hopefully you're kind of at the point where you're almost sick of the story because you know it so well. That's what we want. We want you to be able to recognize what's going on in the story without hardly even thinking about it. Just being able to, you're like, oh, I know where we are in the story as I tell the story. So we are, I believe, at Sohneline Chalaki Adelo Kwaste, the 9th Cherokee lesson. So, without further ado, come. Idalena. Let's start. Talagi Idiwoni. Let's talk in Cherokee. So the first task that we usually do is talk about how to introduce ourselves. And so we've made our way through most of this. And so we're going to talk about some other things that you might add when you're asked to introduce yourself, and those kinds of things. So this is an interesting one. This is one that we've kind of touched on in Cherokee 1, but we'll talk a little bit more about it. So if we look at the syllabary of the first word, you notice there are 2 words here. And this is to talk about having children, okay? So this first one is da. We have wa. And then, of course, we have da again. Ti, na, okay? Da wa da, ti na, okay? Da wa da, ti na. That means to have children. Wa da, ti na, okay? So da wa da, ti na. You can also say da wa da ti na. You can leave the off the end. That's fine. Da wa da ti na. That means that word means to have children specifically. Okay, so you could say sawu awa da ti na. I have 1 child. Tall da wa da ti na. Okay, you could also say tal ani chuch sawu age huge dawada tina. Okay, so tal ani chuch, 2 boys, sawu ge huge, 1 girl, dawada tina. Okay, so you can do it that way. So that's one way of talking about having children. Another one is just like we do in English. I have kids, and we use the verb doggy ka. Doggy ka. That means to have something that's alive. Doggy ka. So we can use, John, Juwage, doggy ka. 3 children I have. Okay? So you can do it that way, and a lot of people do. A lot of speakers use that doggy ka to talk about having children. In Cherokee 1, we talked about that word as far as having animals, right? And having pets or things like that. And we talked about the difference. Some communities use that word. Some other communities use ganatla, right? To talk about having animals like pets and things like that. But you can also use it to have children, to talk about children that you have. Notice in English, when we talk about having kids, even if your children are grown, you'll say, well, I have 3 boys, 2 girls, that kind of thing. In Cherokee, however, usually a speaker will indicate whether the children are grown or not. So they might, if they use achuj or agehuj, then we know that the children are small or young. But if they say like askai or agehya, then we can probably know that the children that they have are adults. Okay, and I've noticed that usually speakers will naturally indicate that as they're talking about the kids that they have. They'll talk about, they'll say, tal ani sky, juej, or something like that, okay, or agwej, agwej, my child, okay, dagwej, my children. So, and then they'll indicate whether they're grown and male and female. So just be kind of aware of that whenever you're putting together your own introduction and if you have kids. Now, if you don't have children, you say tla, okay, tla, yi da wa da tina, okay. So you put tla and yi in front of that word da wa da tina. Tla yi da wa da tina. Tla yi da wa da tina. I don't have kids. Super easy to do. All right. Okay. Our conversational Cherokee for today is going to be comb your hair. Okay. For some reason, my daughter hates combing her hair, and so I'm often having to tell her, go comb your hair. So let's look at the syllabary for that. We have hal, li, ta, wo, j. Okay? So if we take the li and we shorten it, and we take the vowel sound off of there, we have hal, ta, wo, j. Hal, ta, wo, j. Hal, ta, wo, j. That means comb your hair. Hal ta wo zhe. Okay? Hal ta wo zhe. Hal ta wo zhe. And that's to tell somebody, comb your hair. Hal ta wo zhe. Comb your hair. All right? So that's the conversational Cherokee that we have for today. Hopefully that one will help you. If you have somebody at home that doesn't like to comb your hair, you can tell them, hal ta wo zhe. Go comb your hair. Okay. All right. So when we left the story, we were in the middle of adding more dialogue to the story. Okay. And so let's kind of read through what we've done so far. All right. Let me put my glasses on so I can see, and we'll read our way through it. Okay. So it says, Ilahiyu chegesa nigada inage anehe dan klano heske gistana ulsek gese. Okay, he was special. He was unique. Ulsek, that means to be unique or special. Gadon ale amo ijul ganelon. He could live both on the earth and in the water, right? Sawu iga jisten klawotu amayulti na. Okay, this word, I as we were going through it, I thought I had made a typing error, and so I had used the word adon si ni doha, right? Adon si ni doha, because it's a word we already know. Talked about crawling, right? Because it's kind of what crawdads do. However, in going back through my notes after we presented the last class, I noticed that we had changed the word. We introduced a new word to you, okay? So let's work our way through it. We'll just take a couple minutes and we'll work our way through the word and then we'll go on, okay? So this is a, da, na, e, a, don, na, e, no, do, huh, okay? Adon na I no don ha. Okay, Adon na I no don ha. That means he would walk around. Okay, that word I. You hear that in there. Okay, Adon na I. Okay, Adon na I. Okay, Adon na I no do ha. He would walk around. Okay. So the sentence says, Sawu iga jistan klawotu. Klawotu, remember, is mud. Amayulti na next to the shore. Adana ino doha. He was walking around. Na jutli uwotle. Unle na he dan klano heska. Jutli utadane. Doyu hisanul amo. Gadohina. Utloyas hisanul. Doda jisanul udane jistan. Yigin toki. Ahidi. Yikalohis geli. Okay, so this is all new stuff that we did. Doda, really? Jisanul, I'm that fast. Yes, I'm really that fast. Udane jistan. Yigin toki, if we raced. Ahidi, easily. Ahidi means easily. Okay? Yigalohis, I would beat you. Yigalohis, gele, I think. So I think I would easily beat you if we raced. Okay, yigin toki, ahidi, yigalohis, gele. Kla, yiga go tisko. Kla yiga go tisko. Okay, I don't see you. Gadon hatli donha. I've never seen you run on the ground, right? Klawo tu hiwu. Go ti hon. Go ti hon. Okay, that's I see you habitually. Klawo tu hiu. Klawo tu hiwu. Just in the mud. Hadan sini doha. Crawling around. Udane jutli. So that sentence says, Kla yiga go tisko gadon hatli doha. Okay, I've never seen you running on the earth. Klawo tu hiwu go ti hon. I only see you in the mud. Hadan sini doha, crawling around. Udane jutli. Klado hieli. Okay, if you don't think it's true, that's kind of what that really means. Klado hieli. You think, okay? So if you don't think it's true, Nigal stiwu yin toki. Let's race sometime. Nigal stiwu yin toki. Let's race sometime. Udane jistan. Okay? Hawa udane jutli. No da yin toki. Okay, said the fox. Now yin toki. Let's race. Let's race now. Hawa udane jisten. Okay, said the crawdad. Gal gogi gadusi. Du nuk tane, they decided. Du nuk tane. Wuna tlusty, to race, or to run across. Wuna tlusty, to run. Akuyi, we got lutsa, the first to arrive. Kalkwogine gadusi. Okay. We degetlu huskesti. He would shout. Okay. Udatlosa ge sesti. He'd be the winner. Gatu galelat o dala unilosa. Okay. Excuse me. So we should know that sentence. Gatu galelat o dala unilosa. They went to the top of a high mountain. Okay. Unano galko gadusi denisu yesa. They chose 7 hills. Okay. So unano and then unano and then galko gadusi denisu yesa. They chose 7 hills. Okay. Wunat lesti, to run across. Elat, galelat, galkogi walked, dunaniki. Okay, they would move up and down 7 times. Okay, down and up actually. Elat, down, galelat, up. So down and up 7 times they would move. Okay, they would go. Okay, unlenehe, when it started. Wunwe tlune, they shouted. Wunados tana, and they took off running. Wunados tana. Uskanoleno ge se jisten. Okay, slow was the crawdad. Jutli, the fox. Ulohi sele, passed. Jisten, right? Jisten, wajini sele, he grabbed. Jutli kani data, he grabbed the fox's tail. Nole, then. Wukilene, he got up, he crawled up on it. Jutli gani data, okay, the fox's tail. Utlist, quick. Jutli wutlus tana, he ran fast. He was running quick. Gani data wukitlong jistan, so the crawdad was riding up on his tail. Wuni lutsa galkogine gadusi, when they got to the 7th hill. Jutli uwetlune, the fox hollered out. Okay, unano, and there. Na jutli, close to the fox. Jisten uwetlunesku, the crawdad also yelled. All right, so that brings us up to speed with where we left off. That's a quick review. So let's go ahead and continue. So the next one says, usquanikt, uyelese. So usquanikt means surprised. Uyelese, he felt. So he felt surprised. Jutli, the fox. Na jisten wuluchesku, that the crawdad had also arrived, right? Wuluchesku. Remember that sku at the end means as well or also, right? So wuluchesku. So the fox was surprised that the crawdad had also arrived. U squanict u ye le se jutli na gistan wulu je squil. Okay, u squanict u ye le se jutli na gistan wulu je squil. Okay. Next one says do you hisanul u dane jutli. Okay. Skidan chicken no sela u dane gistan gisanul Nicola katokia. Okay. Do you means really. Hisanul, you're fast. So you're really fast. U dane jutli, said the fox. Do you hisanul, you're really quick. Okay. Skidan chicken no sele. So skidan means yeah, like that. Chicken no sele, I told you. Okay, so that's kind of saying, that's what I told you. Okay, I told you it was true. I told you it was so. Skidan chicken no sele, skidan chicken no sele, udan gistan. So I told you that's the way it was. Gisanul, I'm fast. Nicola katogia, I often race. Okay. Gisanul Nicola katogia. Okay. I often race. Do you hisanul udane jutli. Skidan chikano sela udane gistan. Gisanul Nicola katogia. Okay. Next one says Sigwu in Tokia or Inatokia udane jutli. Sigwu kadusi winatlasti o dalana didla. Okay, so this is a little bit different than the original version. Let's work our way through it. Sigwu, again, Inatokia, let's race. Inatokia. So if you want to challenge someone to a race, this is what you would say, Inatokia, let's race, okay? So Sigwu, again, Inatokia, let's race again. Udane jutli. Sigwu, gadusi, wina tlasti. Okay? Again, let's run on the across the hills. Odala na. Odala is mountain. Na is like nadidla. So what they're really trying to say here is odala na did, back towards the mountain. Okay, because they took off from the mountain. So they're saying, let's go back across the hills toward the mountain where we started. Okay? So it says, Sigwu inatokia udane jutli. Sigwu kadusi winatlasti. Odala na didla. Odala na didla. Okay? Didla means in that direction. Didla. Okay? So we could say galila did, that means in the upward direction. Ela did, in the downward direction. We could say Tulsa did, toward Tulsa. Okay, so that deedla, Tulsa deedla, towards Tulsa. Okay, so you can use that deedla in a lot of instances. And I think in Cherokee, it's a really, really common little thing to say when you're going in the direction of something, and that's the most important part of the sentence that you're trying to convey. They often will use deedla, where we probably would not use that in English. Okay. All right. Next one says unaktahase. They turned around. Unaktahase. Untokiastana. They started to race. Odala junlenahe, to the mountain junlenahe that they started from. Okay? Unaktahase. un toki yastana o dalla junlena he. Ayetli tla antoki yaska. Halfway through, somewhere halfway through their race, jutli utlis uktahase. So the fox quickly made a turn, uktahase. Okay? So most of that is the same from the previous version. So I think you're probably pretty confident with it. Najistan hale wulose. The crawdad almost wulose fell. So the crawdad almost fell. Nowu stayosa, strong. Wajiniya se he grabbed ganidata. So then he took a firmer grab on the tail. Okay? So he grabbed it harder. When he did this, kola bony. Okay? Kola is a bone. Kola is bony. Just like gada is dirt, gadaha is dirty. Okay, so that ha is kind of making it into an adjective or a description. Okay, so kola, bone, kola ha, bony. Wajaniya sela, he grabbed jutli kanidata. So he grabbed the bony part of the fox's tail. Okay, jutli, wulu je odala, nole wuwe tlune, nahiu jisten wuwe tlune sku. Okay, so the fox arrived at the mountain. Jutli wulu je odala. Nole wuwe tlune, and then he yelled. Nole, that means and then, and we kind of talked about there are some speakers that use this a lot. They use nole at the beginning of almost every sentence. And then there are other speakers that rarely use the word nole. So, but I wanted you to be aware that it exists and that you'll probably hear it at some point. Nole wuwe tlune. So, and then he yelled. Nahiyu jistan wuwe tlunesku. Nearby, the crawdad also yelled. Okay. Hilo nu he uwe tlune jutli. Kla yiji lo nu ha udane jistan. Uskiwu jisanul. Okay? So, hilo nu he. You're cheating. So, that's how you would accuse somebody of cheating. You say, hilo nu he. You're cheating. Uwetlune shouted. Jutli. Tla yiji lo nu ha. Okay? Tla yiji lo nu ha. I'm not cheating. Udane jistan. Uskiwu jisanul. I'm just that fast. Right? Uskiwu. Some people might say skiwu jisanul. Okay? Uskiwu jisanul. I'm just that fast. Hilo nu he. Uwetlune jutli. Kla yiji lo nu ha. Udane jistan. Uskiwu jisanul. Okay. Jutli uno se le jistan. Aguant skinia se le jini data. Jutli uno se le jistan. Okay. He told the crawdad, Aguant, I know. Skinia sela, you grabbed me. Genie data on my tail. Okay, I know you grabbed me on my tail. Jutli uno se le gistan aguant skinia se le gini data. Okay, jutli ajikehi dola gistan ajikehi dola. Okay, that's to accuse. Okay, ajikehi dola. Or no, it means to chase. Ajikehi dola means to chase. Jutli, ajikehi dola gistan, he chased him. Okay, ajikehi dola. Tlaskin eli wultise, but he was unable to escape or to run off. Jutli wajiya gistan. Okay, the fox ate the crawdad. Eat D squat. We're done, right? So that sometimes that's how people will end a story. So I'm not saying that the class is done, but I'm just telling you that sometimes they'll use that to say that's the end of the story. Okay. All right. So we've kind of slogged our way through the final part of the story. So what we need to do next is we're going to look at it. The part that we learned today, we're going to look at it. We're going to take a look at some of the new parts, and then we'll look at it in syllabary because we're really working on our reading comprehension. And so let's go ahead and take a look at the new part. Okay? All right. Okay, so this is the new part of the story. It's all in syllabary, so we're going to read through it, okay? And we'll kind of do our best, and because remember, I'm also a learner, so you can watch me struggle reading. Sometimes whenever I read, my daughter, she's in first grade, and she's learning to read in English right now. And watching her try to read, I imagine, is kind of like what I'm going through right now. Trying to read through and sound out a word, and I'm like, oh, wait, I know what that is, and changing it. But that's how we get better at it, right? So let's go ahead and we will try to read it in syllabary this time, and then we'll read the whole story, beginning to end in syllabary, okay? So it says, U squanikt, U squanikt, U squanikt, U yelese, Jutli na gistan, Wu lu squ. Do you hisanul udane jutli skidan gino sela udane gistan gisanul Nicola gatokia sigu Inatokia udane jutli sigu katusi wina tlusti odalana didla una ka taha se unak taha se. Okay, una, this is ka. Ka and wo look very much alike, so we sometimes I have to kind of figure out, is it wo, is it ka? In this case, it's ka. Una ka ta he se. Unak ta he se. Turned around. Un to ki yas tana odala junalena he. Ayetli kle Anatokiaska, Jutli, Utlist, Uktahse, uktahse. Na jistan hale wulo se. No wu stayosa wajiniya sela jutli ganidata jutli wuluche odala nole wuwetlune nahiyu jistan wuwetlune squil. Hilo nu he uwetlune jutli kla yijilo nu he udane jistan I'm going to have to look back through. That doesn't seem right to me. Okay? Because it's not right. Okay. So, let's go back. So, all right. So, there's a syllabary character missing because it says ooswoo, ooswoo. And I was like, that doesn't sound right. So there's a typo in there. But real quickly, we're just going to add it right in and we can go. Okay, that makes much more sense. Uskiwu jisanul. Okay, I'm just that fast. Uskiwu jisanul. Jutli uno se le jistan aguant skiniya se la jini data jutli ajikehidola chaste jistan klaskin eli wultise jutli wajia jistan idisquata. Okay? So that's the whole part of the new. Let's read it a little bit faster now that we corrected all the typos. Maybe we can read it a little bit faster now that I've read through it once in syllabary. I can hopefully read a little bit quicker. All right? So it says, Usquanit uyela se jutli na jistan wuluche squil. Doyu hisanul udane jutli. Skidan jikano sela udane jistan. Jisanul. Nicola gantokia. Sigu inatokia udane jutli. Sigu kadusi una plasti. O dalanadid unaktahese untogias tana o dala junlena he. Ayetli tla antogiaska jutli utlist uktahese. Na jistan hale wulose. Nowu stayosa wajaniya sela jutli kanidata. Jutli wuluche odala. Nole wuwetlune. Nahiyu jistan wuwetlune squil. Hilo nu he uwetlune jutli. Tla yijilo nu he. Yijilo nu he. For some reason I have a hard time saying that. Tla yijilo nu he. Udane jistan. Ushkini jisanur. Jutli Uno se le gisten aguant, skinia se la gini data. Jutli agike he dola gisten. Klaskin eli wultise. Jutli wajia gisten. Ed squat. All right. So we have made our way through the entire story at this point, okay? So feel very proud of yourself. This is a fairly complicated story, all right? So let's go through, since this is probably the last time we're going to look at the story in this way, we might review it, and at some point we're going to look at an actual a similar story to this that was written by Anna Sixkiller for the Cherokee Phoenix back in 2003. And so we're going to look at that version of the story the way she told it. And we'll look at what's similar, and we'll look at what's different, and we'll look at some new vocabulary. Because again, just like in English, anytime a person tells a story, they tell it in a little bit different way. So her version's a little bit different, but hopefully there's enough that's similar that you're going to be able to understand what's going on. All right? So let's go through the whole story. I'll go through it a couple times. We'll go through it fairly slow. Follow along again. If you're working on your reading comprehension, then follow along with me. You can either point and follow with your finger. This is a great strategy. This is what children use when they learn to read. They follow with their finger. That way they don't get lost, because otherwise it just seems like a jumble of characters to you. So you can follow with your finger if you're working on your reading comprehension. If you're working on your listening comprehension, then I would recommend you just close your eyes, you listen to the words, and you try to picture in your mind where we're at in the story, okay? Don't worry so much about translating each and every single word, because that's not what we do when we speak in whatever language is our first language. We don't translate in our head what the messages that are coming in. We just take them in, they put impressions into our brain, and we kind of move on with the conversation. I speak Spanish a little bit, and this is my problem with Spanish because I learned in a different way. So whenever people speak Spanish to me, I'm trying to translate every single word rather than just get the idea of the conversation. If you're working on comprehension, listening comprehension, just listen to the story and try to picture what's going on. If you're working on reading comprehension, then try to read along with me or follow with your finger as we're doing it. I'm going to read it a couple times through, so you could do both if you wish. All right? So, let's try to make our way through this story, beginning to end. All right? Ilahiu jagesa nigada inage anehe dan klano heske jistan ulsegi gese gadon ale amo ijula ganelo sawu iga jistan klawotu amayulti na adana ino don adana ino don na jutli uwotle unlena he dan klano heska. Okay, I'm right there in the story. Dan plano heska. Jutli utadane doyu hisanul amo. Gadohina utloyas hisanul. Dodan jisanul udane jistan. Yikin toki ahiti. Yikalohis gele Kla, you could go, that's a mistake there. Okay, you could go tisco. You could go tisco. Okay, let's go ahead and fix that. Okay. Okay, there we go. Kla, you could go tisco, ga don, hardly don, huh? Kla wo tu hi wu, go ti hon, hadan sin do, huh? Okay. Kla do hele, ni go stiwu ina toki. Hawa, udane jutli, no dan yin toki. Hawa, udane jistan. Golf kogi kadusi, du nuk tane wuna tlasti. Agayi, wikat lucha, golf kogi ne kadusi. Widgetlu skesti. Udatlosa ke sesti. Hawa udane jutli. Gadu galelat o dalamuni losa. Unano galkog gadusi. Dunisuyesa wuna tlasti. Elat galelat galkogi. You walked dunanigi. Unlena he munet munwetlune munados tana. Uskanoleno ge se gistan. Jutli ulohi se le gistan. Gistan wajini ye se le jutli ganidata. No le wukilane jutli ganidata. Utlist jutli wutlastana. Ganidata wukilon gistan. Wunilucha galkogine kadusi. Jutli uwetlune. Unano na jutli gistan uwetlune squil. Usquanit uyelese jutli na gistan ulucha squil. Doyu hisanul udane jutli. Skida jigano sela udane gistan gisanul. Nigola gatokia. Sigu inatokia udane jutli. Sigu kadusi wina tlasti o dalana didla. Unakta se untokias tana o dala junlena he. Ayetli tla antokiaska jutli utlist ukta se. Na gistan hale ulosa. No wu stayosa wajiniya sela jutli ganidata. Jutli wuluche odala. Nole wuwetlune. Na hiu gistan wuwetlune squo. Hilo nu he uwetlune jutli. Kla yijilo nu he udane gistan. Uskiwo gisanule. Jutli uno sele gistan. Aguant skiniya sele gini data. Jutli ajikehi dola gistan. Klaskin eli wultiste. Jutli wajiya gistan idisquata. All right, so that's the entire story. So that takes us to the end of this lesson. So remember, if here there is a page of notes if you want some notes. We'll look at that at the beginning of the next class if you also want to do that. But they're words that we've already gone through. I hope you've enjoyed the class. Ihe dola in wadong.